Hey guys, Kevin the Comic Doctor coming to you with another edition of One on One. I wanted to follow up my last video on James Gunn's new role as CEO over at co-CEO, over at DC Studios, with a video kind of discussing the rivalry between DC Comics / Studios and Marvel Comics / Marvel Studios. And does a rivalry actually exist? Does a rivalry actually exist? I don't know if it does, but I'll talk about it today. And what does James Gunn think of that too? Because I think he's going to give us his 2 cents worth as well. He has given us his 2 cents worth regarding this so-called rivalry as well. And does it really exist? So stick around, because I'm gonna give it to you right from the source himself, from James Gunn himself. But I want to talk about the rivalry a little bit in my own experience as a comic book collector over the last 30 some odd years. Okay. First of all, guys, if you're new here, I'm Kevin the Comic Doctor. I'm a comic book presser, and I'm an authorized CGC dealer located up in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And I'm also an avid comic book collector and fanboy, I guess you could say. And this channel, while dedicated to mostly my clients and showing them their books as they come back from grading down at CGC, I also talk a lot about comic books and what's happening in the comic book industry, on the film side of things especially. And this this episode today is going to deal with just that. All right, guys. So first of all, is there a rivalry between DC Comics and Marvel Comics? Now, I said comics. I'm going to say, as a fan, yeah, sure there are. You kind of hang your hat with one of those two publishers. Growing up as a comic book collector way back in the mid '80s, I was buying everything. I was buying DC books and Marvel books, but I think I would have said back then, I still do today, kind of hang my hat more so in the Marvel camp. Okay, but it didn't mean that I didn't enjoy DC comic books. I just tended to like one more than the other. I kind of clicked with one more than the other. And I think that's the case with most comic book collectors. I have good friends who are DC through and through. They like their Marvel titles, but they connect with the DC. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, do we attack each other? I don't think so. I don't think I've ever attacked my DC friends, and I don't think they've ever attacked me for being a Marvel acolyte. You know what I mean? I just like what I like, and they like what they like, and that's it. And Marvel, let's be honest, and if you guys have been watching my videos for any length of time, and you see the books that are coming back from CGC, let's be honest, guys, it's mostly Marvel books that are being graded and worked on and submitted. There are a lot of DC books going through, but it is mostly Marvel titles. Right now, that could change. Now, let's talk a little bit about the movies, because that's a different story. Is there a rivalry between DC Studios, the new DC Studios, and Marvel Studios? Is there a rivalry between the two companies? I don't think there is. In terms of the two business entities, does Kevin Feige go to work every day? Oh, I've got to, create a new movie so that I can really, give it to the DC folk, and do the DC guys feel the same way about? I don't think so. I really don't. But the fans, that's a different story, right? The fandoms, the DC fandom versus the Marvel fandom. Yeah, there definitely is a rivalry there. And unfortunately, it has gotten to be a little bit toxic in many ways. You've got DC fans going on to, movie review sites and review bombing Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows. And vice versa. You have Marvel fanboys doing the same thing against DC films. And it's totally silly. It's totally ridiculous, really. Because, during COVID, during the whole lockdown, Hollywood was hurting, and it was the actual superhero genre as a whole that really did save Hollywood, and is actually saving Hollywood to this day. Many believe that if it wasn't for the superhero films as we know it, movie theaters as we know it, might not even be in existence anymore. So to be attacking each other is kind of redundant, kind of silly, right? Let's go over, guys, and see what James Gunn feels about this. I'm gonna do a little bit of reading again. And by the way, I see you guys over in the chat room. I'm gonna come over and say hello to you in just a few moments. A little bit of reading again by the Comic Doctor. This is a very quick article. Check this one out. This was from IGN.com, and here we go. So James Gunn on signing to lead DC. Kevin Feige was the first person I told. The Suicide Squad director says Marvel and DC want the same things. According to James Gunn, the first person he told about the signing on to lead the DC Comics film universe was none other than Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios. Gunn revealed this in a tweet from his personal account, responding to a now deleted tweet asking if the Suicide Squad director hated Feige and Marvel now that he was heading the rival comic book company's movies. His response said the opposite. Said that Feige was the first person he told after taking the gig, followed by Peacemaker actor John Cena. He also said that while DC and Marvel may be competitors, both companies shared a common goal of keeping the theater-going experience vibrant and alive. The line of questioning stems from Gunn doing work for both Marvel and DC over the years. Before he directed both the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker HBO Max show, Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy and its sequels Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 for Marvel. Despite the DC job, Gunn is still working with Marvel on other Guardians of the Galaxy projects, including the Guardians holiday special set to debut on Disney Plus next month, the I Am Groot series, and next year's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Gunn's promotion follows a series of shakeups and cancellations over at Warner Brothers, which affected several DC projects, from the canceled Batgirl film to the television shows like The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. The DC Movies universe is in the midst of a soft reboot, which included the return of Henry Cavill as Superman in the Black Adam post-credit scene. So perhaps Gunn can help set things right as DC business is in a time of significant change. So nowhere in this article do you get a sense of a big conflict between the two studios, or not even a conflict, but a competition, as it were. It doesn't exist from their point of view. And actually, check this little tweet out really quick. Here's a tweet that James Gunn put out. Not only do I love Kevin, he was the first person I told after I did the deal with DC. John Cena was the second. Contrary to popular belief, $1 less for Marvel is not $1 more for DC. DC and Marvel have the common goal of keeping the theater-going experience vibrant and alive. That was kind of looked at in that article I just shared with you. But essentially, guys, if one studio is doing good, if superhero movies over at Marvel are doing good, it's going to make people want to go see what DC has to offer, and other companies that come up the way. I know Todd McFarlane's talking about doing a Spawn series. Again, if the superhero genre was kaputs, if it was finished, if it was barely treading water, maybe McFarlane wouldn't even want to put a Spawn movie together. But because the superhero genre is so popular right now, he thinks it's a time to jump in. So if DC's putting out good movies, and if Marvel's putting out good movies, Todd McFarlane wants to get in there and put out a good Spawn movie. So again, I don't believe there's an actual rivalry, in terms of the companies like Warner Brothers and Disney. They're cheering for each other. A success for one company is a success for the other company. I shouldn't say down, but in the comic realm, there's always been that rivalry, going back, like I said, to when I was a young kid. But we had comic books like Teen Titans versus the X-Men, right? Or those giant, those big books, the Treasury editions, Superman and Spider-Man, or Batman and the Hulk. You had these coming together of the companies to celebrate these superheroes. So, was there a rivalry? Sure there was, but it wasn't as toxic as it is or has become, unfortunately, today. And again, this toxicity isn't being generated by the studios themselves, but rather by the fanboys, the DC fanboys over here and the Marvel fanboys over there, who attack each other's product, even if the movies are actually pretty good. That's the sad thing. Let's get over to the chat room, see what you guys think. Do you feel that there's a rivalry with the movies? Let me know in the chat room. Guys, if you want to join in the chat, you got to subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Come on over. I want to hear your 2 cents worth. Got a few guys over there right now. Let's see what they are saying. Wayne is here saying, yo, yo, yo. James is also here. Rogue Thinker. Well, we used to. Well, used to what? Think about the rivalry? Let me know. Marvel, no contest. So here we go. So Christian's already taking his stand. And this is my camp. It's Marvel. But Christian, let me ask you this. If you are a Marvel fan, there are no properties, there's no IPs over at DC that you enjoy? Really? Films or comic? Let me know. James is here too, the real Hyperion. And he says, notice you're almost at 2,000 subscribers. Come on, everyone, subscribe. Yes, we're almost there. But 160 or so more, 158 more subscribers. And we get to the 2,000 subscriber celebrations where I'm going to be giving out a whole bunch of prizes. If you want to see what prizes I'm handing out, I did a video just on the prizes. So go back to my playlist and have a look and see what will be given out when I hit 2,000 subscribers. Wayne, it doesn't have to be so divisive or binary. See what you like, read what you like. I've always been that way as well, too. While I always, like I said, kind of hung my hat in the Marvel side of the comic shop, I did buy DC books as well, too. You know, I bought the Batman books. I bought the Superman books, the Justice League books. I particularly liked the Justice League Europe books that came out in the late 80s. Those were really quite good. I forget who wrote them. I forget who drew them, but they were fun. Had Guy Gardner and Blue Beetle and Shazam. It was a good run. Yeah, I mean, and that was a DC product, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I looked forward to it. Wayne says 40 to 70-year-old men are not and shouldn't be the deciding factor or demographic for superheroes. I don't care that you grew up with them. They are for kids to use and imagine with. Well, so what are you saying, Wayne? We have no say? And are they for kids? Are they for kids? Are these movies for kids? Are they for us, for the kids? Is Star Wars for the kids? Is it for us? That's a good conversation to have. Christian, I feel there is a bigger message here, and I'm here for it. All right, let's keep talking. Even though, how you doing? Hey, Marco, how's it going? Good. How's it going? Good to see you. Christian says, Batman is cool. I think the art in DC is much better than Marvel, but the characters and stories are weak. Well, I think every title goes through its ups and downs. And again, I can't speak to the new comics that are being produced today. I don't buy new comic books at all. I buy strictly vintage books. And I can look back at the history of comic books and I can say which periods of say the 1950s or 60s or 70s where I preferred Marvel over DC or DC over Marvel. And because I tend to be more drawn to the artwork, I found the artwork in some titles and better than others on both sides, right? That's fine. But if we're talking about the movies, is there a rivalry there? Do you think there's a rivalry there? What do you think about this fanboy toxicity that really does exist and exists also in the Star Wars camp as well, too, guys? I don't want to really talk about Star Wars, but it really does. I mean, there's a real visceral hatred for much of the new stuff that's been being brought out by Lucasfilm, right? That also exists in the Marvel universe, and you've seen it in this last couple of years. Eternals and Doctor Strange and much of the television series for Disney Plus. I mean, I didn't love the stuff, but I'm not going online and attacking it and carrying on. You know what I mean? But there are people that do that spend so much energy negatively discussing these shows and movies. Like, why? Dave says, hi, Kevin. Yeah, I think there is a rivalry. Marvel's a better product overall. So let's see what the James Gunn thing brings to the table. So now we're talking about the movies again. That's fine. And I listen, the proof's in the pudding too, right, guys? I mean, Marvel has been far more consistent with the products they're putting out. They've kind of figured out what the audience is like. They really got on that. They really got things going. After the first, say, 4 or 5 or 6 movies came out, they got into a rhythm and kind of figured out what audiences wanted and delivered. This last year, this last phase has been a little rough, but it's a rebuilding phase, right? I mean, that's to be expected. DC has been a lot more inconsistent, okay? But movies like Man of Steel, guys, Man of Steel is not a bad flick, and it really got hammered hard by fans. They did not like it, but it was actually a pretty darn good movie. I think someone was showing how Captain Marvel had a higher rating than Man of Steel, and yeah, I don't understand that. I don't understand. I think it's a far better movie than Captain Marvel. But again, what do I know? Fans have spoken, right? Wayne, I like Marvel, but Batman is my favorite. Started out for the kids. Money now plays a factor, and they try to appease older generations, losing their way. My 2 cents. Yeah, again, that's not knowing where they want to be. That's not having a game plan. I think Marvel is trying to keep it family friendly, so kids and adults will like it, and they kind of bounce back and forth a bit. I think DC went very mature, and that might have been their downfall as well too. Giving us a dark and gloomy Superman in Man of Steel. It was a darker version than what we were used to, and that could have been it. So yeah, trying to appeal to the older crowds and not kind of finding that nice balance, but for younger crowds and older crowds, that's a hard thing to do. And again, back to Star Wars, they did the exact same thing. They didn't want to appease the diehard original fans, the OG fans like me and you. They wanted to kind of branch off and garner the attention of new fans, a new fandom, a female fandom too, let's be honest. And I think that was detrimental to Lucasfilm's plan. They should have first embraced the OG fans who've been waiting so long, and then slowly introduce new characters for the new generation. Again, going back to Cobra Kai, if you haven't watched Cobra Kai yet, and if you're a Karate Kid fan, you really need to. They did it right. They did it slowly. They took their time. They nurtured these new characters, but gave us a lot of old characters for us old farts to really enjoy. And then now we like them all. Smart. Anyways, Wayne also says everything has fanboy. Star Wars, Star Trek versus Star Trek, old versus new, Sony versus Microsoft, on and on and on. Yes, they do. And Apple versus Samsung. That's another one too, right? I just find it, excuse me, I just find it crazy that a lot of the people spend so much time, vying for one side or another, and it really has no impact on their lives. I went and saw Black Adam the other day. It wasn't the best thing I ever saw. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the best thing I ever saw. I didn't go online and attack it. I didn't go online and promote it. Actually, I think I went online here and said I didn't mind it, but I didn't spend more than a few moments discussing it. But there are people that will spend hours and hours and hours fighting for their side, for what they love. It's entertainment, I don't quite understand that. I think these fanboys, these diehard fanboys, are the ones that are kind of ruining it and are creating this rivalry that doesn't really exist. Like, who really cares, right? David V. Kids, there has always been adults in the hobby. Yeah, I remember going to the comic shops again in 84, 85. I was like 13, 14. Yeah, it wasn't just, there was no one younger than me there. Everybody was older than me there. I was probably the youngest at the age of 14 or 15 at the comic shop. And like you said, there were, grown men there buying comics. No women. No, none at all. It was all guys. It's a guy's thing. Wayne, Black Adam was not a great movie, but was good. Yes, it was. I walked away and I had enjoyed it. And I think, with some rewrites, it might have been a great movie, but it was just a good movie. And I mean, when I say good, I don't think it was even, like I said, it wasn't an Academy Award winning film. And it was a night out. It was a popcorn night out. It was enjoyable. Of course, The Rock, I think was one of the reasons why it was so enjoyable. You could tell he was having a lot of fun playing that role. And some of, Pierce Brosnan character was a lot of fun. And even the guy who played Hawkman, I don't know the actor's name, but the gent who played Hawkman was really quite good. There was a lot of fun to be had in that film. And of course, the post-credit scene indicating Henry Cavill's return is a big deal as well. But interestingly enough, the Black Adam movie so far has not even broken even, right? So what I think is funny is all these fanboys who are pushing for the Snyderverse and pushing for DC, they haven't gone out in droves to watch this movie because the box office speaks for itself. I've been watching lots of, movie math type videos here on YouTube, and people they're indicating the movie has not broken even yet, and they can't wait. They're counting the days when this film opens in China, so that hopefully they can turn a profit on this movie. But as of right now, the movie has not even broken even. Okay. So where are you, DC fanboys? What's going on here? You want your DC, but you don't want to go to the movie theater to support it. Are you downloading it illegally and watching it on your IPTV? Get off your butt, go to the theater and support your film. You want more DC films of this universe? You want Henry Cavill? He's back. Why haven't people been going? I remember people used to go and see Star Wars. Before the Phantom Menace came out, people were going, and I think I was one of them, would go and see movies just to watch the trailer, right? That's dedication. That's diehard fandom, So where are the fanboys now? They're not supporting Black Adam, that's for sure. Marco says the only rivalry is on DC WB's side. I think they feel like they've been missing out on the cash cow. Marvel Disney, for their part, doesn't seem to care about competing with DC. No, I don't think so. I think DC's been trying, right, to figure how we going to get in on this, right? How come we're not getting in? How come we're not producing the movies that are garnering that kind of box office, like the $1 billion box office that Marvel is doing, and they had a couple, Wonder Woman produced a lot of dough for them, and Aquaman did really well for them, but the others have just kind of faltered. They're trying different, bringing big name actors and actresses in to try to bring people to the theater. But something's going on there, and I think they're alienating people as well too. You go and see Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn and all those characters, lots of blood, lots of violence, lots of F-bombs. So all of a sudden you've just said kids shouldn't come to this movie, right? And it's tough. But then you have Deadpool, which is doing the exact same thing, but is making huge bank at the box office. Why isn't Suicide Squad? Why aren't these other movies that are more mature, that mature angle, why aren't they making the money that Deadpool's making? I don't know. I think you're right, Marco. I think Warner Brothers is scratching their head and thinking, why are we faltering here? So again, that's why they brought James Gunn in, to try and figure things out. David, he says, maybe I'm misunderstanding Wayne. Sorry if I am. Listen, David, when you text, when you send chats in, sometimes meaning is I misunderstand comments here in the chat room all the time, so don't worry about it. Black Adam was not a great... Oh, I saw that one already. Oh, I jumped right over. Sorry. David says, I haven't seen Black Adam yet. You should check it out because it is actually a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Krisha V, Black Adam was DC's last hope. The Rock should have gone to the MCU. Yeah, there was talk that he might, right? He still could. There's no reason why you can't be in both universes. But he connected with Black Adam a long, long time ago. He's been pushing for this movie forever. I just can't understand how, before they release a film like this, when they start watching the movies, I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't think for a second, Dwayne Johnson, other producers and other actors didn't sit down and watch this film near completion before, weeks, maybe months before it was released. How could they not sit down and not realize there are, problems with the movie? How can they not recognize that? I don't know. One of the big problems is that again Wayne always that girl. I mean, again, pretty to look at, but she added nothing to the team. Why not add another original member of the Justice Society rather than this newbie, right? I don't know. But aside from that, the writing was really suspect. And no one picked up on it. But he's been on the Black Adam for a long time, so I think he's putting all of his eggs in his basket. He's going to really push for this universe to go. And I think Dwayne Johnson's wife is Henry Cavill's manager. So there's this whole thing about getting Cavill back. Should they reboot everything? Should they have waited and just kind of started from scratch? Maybe. I don't know. We're going to find out. We'll see what James Gunn has in mind. The indies might give Marvel more competition. I hope so. I want to see some indie titles on the big screen. You know, one title I really enjoyed was Kick-Ass. I thought Kick-Ass was a great movie. That was a lot of fun when I saw that. And that was no Marvel film. It was better than a lot of the Marvel films. Marco says, it is the same problem with the new Star Wars films. They were afraid of the original films, so the sequels were a bust, while the Disney Plus Star Wars series have been embraced the universe and have been driving fandom. Yeah, they were scared of the first ones, but I mean, hey, you want to fix that problem? Here's an idea. Make sure that Han, Luke, and Leia and the original legacy characters are primary characters in your movie. There you go. That's all they had to do. We would have come out in droves to see Han, Luke, and Leia again, and give them something to do while introducing new, younger characters to drive the franchise forward. If you want to do the Skywalker saga and you want to have the name Skywalker in Star Wars for years to come, give us something, you know. But they didn't, and I can't. To this day, I can't understand how they screwed that one up. I still can't. Oh, Kevin, it's really hard to make a movie. Oh, I'm not saying it's not hard to make a movie. I'm saying it's very, very difficult to make a movie. But when you have those kinds of resources there and, geez, talk to the fans. Talk to the fans. You know, you've got YouTubers on here, you know, that are really quite knowledgeable about Star Wars. And have a huge fan base themselves. I'm not going to mention any names, but I mean, you know who they are. And talk to them. They know what fans want, and give the fans kind of what you have to give exactly what they want, but, you know, listen to their ideas. It boggles my mind, man. Wayne, I think Cyclone was used. Yeah, exactly. She was just getting, you see her kind of slow motion, useless character. And if you look at the original Justice Society, come on, man. There's some pretty awesome characters there. Utilize them. You know, I'll be honest, do what they could have done, which I think would have made the movie even better. And this goes for Captain America as well, the first Avenger. It's an origin story, so spend time on the origin. They didn't. They went quickly. I want to see more of Black Adam as a child, the father-son dynamic. I want to see more of that. Also, why is he speaking English? That bothered me. You know, have him speak his dialect and then learn the language really fast as one of his powers. I don't know. But right when he started, he comes out and he rises up and he speaks perfect English. I didn't like that at all. So that was one thing I didn't like. But I like to see origin stories, especially for characters like a Black Adam we don't know anything about, right? And then we could have mixed it in a little bit with the wizard from Shazam, you know, give us like a quarter of the movie with that. Not 10, 15 minutes. Like, give us like a good 40 minutes of that, at least. So we can really click with that character. And they didn't do that. Maybe that would have helped. And that's how I felt. Well, I felt about I mentioned Captain America. The one thing I really didn't like about that movie was I hated that the Red Skull's henchmen or the soldiers all had like blue Tesseract laser guns. Drove me nuts. Have them use bullets. And I wanted to see kind of when he went to save, what do you call them? All his crew of men there, those soldiers that were captured, and he went and he busted them out. I wanted to see more of a Saving Private Ryan type of gritty wartime. Of course, you couldn't go that dark because of, it's Marvel, but I want to see more of a gritty war-like movie. And I hated the laser guns. I hated it because there were no laser guns during World War II. There was no Captain America during World War II. I know that, but still, it was just too much power with those soldiers. And I would have liked to have seen Hitler. To be honest, I would have liked to have seen the Red Skull communicate with Hitler somehow. They mentioned the Fuhrer, I think, but there was no actual showing of Adolf Hitler. I would have liked to have seen that, but that's just me. Let's see here. Marcos, I wish The Rock had been Jon Stewart Green Lantern. I think I disagree with you on that. The Rock wouldn't have suited that character. He's too big. He's way too big. No, The Rock's huge. Maybe a Rock when he was like younger and a little more lean. I think The Rock is... See how big he was as Black Adam? He was like friggin'... He's a wrestler, man. The guy's massive. I don't know if I agree with that, but... that's okay. I wish just one superhero was true to the original storyline. Movie that is. Yeah, well, they're making changes. They're making changes for the movies. You got to give them some, I hated certain things like Spider-Man back, with Tobey Maguire. I hated that. I hated it. Little things like that do irritate me. So I kind of see where you're coming from, David. I think they should try to be as true to the source material as possible, as much as they can. I understand they have to make changes from time to time, but having it a little as close, would have been nice to be a little closer. James, I'm looking forward to Black Panther 2. I heard it was good. I have too. I'm also looking forward to it now. I wasn't, but the reviews are pretty good. We'll see. We'll see. Now I'll put my my guess out there. I have a feeling that Shuri might be Black Panther for a while, but I think Okoye is going to be the Black Panther for a while too. It makes sense because Shuri can't fight. Okoye can. That's Okoye, right? The one the Dare Milaje, the one played by, what's her name from Walking Dead. I think she'll be Black Panther for a while too. And people like her, so I would assume that's where they might go. Wayne says, I like the way James Gunn said it though. $1 less for Marvel is not $1 more for DC. You don't want the industry to eat itself. They should work in tandem. That's right. You want them to. And competition is good. A healthy competition is good. A good rivalry, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's in the Hollywood Reporter. I think it is. The top grossing movies of all time. Whenever someone overtakes their predecessor, they put a one-page spread out. I think it's in the Hollywood Reporter or perhaps the Los Angeles newspaper there, congratulating the new movie. I know that's, that Phantom Menace did it for, not Phantom Menace, sorry. I think Titanic had it for a long time. And I think that, or Avatar, I'm not sure to be honest, but I think Avatar might have had it for a while. And I think Star Wars, The Force Awakens beat out Avatar. And so they had, Disney put a big ad out, So James Cameron's crew put an ad out, or 20th Century Fox put an ad out congratulating the new Star Wars movie. And then when it was overtaken again by, I think, Endgame or whatever, I'm not sure who took over who. There's always that back and forth and that respect and that friendly rivalry. Because look if people are going to the movies and having a good time, we're going to keep going to the movies. But if you're going to the movies time and time again and you're walking away disappointed or you're just not enjoying yourself, you're not going to go back to the movies again. So you want to enjoy yourself at the films. So these companies, Disney, Warner Brothers, whoever, they want to make sure the movies are coming out as good as they possibly can be. And it'll keep audiences coming back for more. So that's a good thing. And I think the same can be said in the comic books themselves, right? If Marvel is putting out good comic books, people are going to be hungry to read more comic books. And if there's only so many Marvel titles, they'll move over to DC and they'll buy DC titles and independent titles or Image or whatever, right? And the same thing goes, right? If one company's doing well, it'll hopefully bring people towards another company. You know what I mean? And the same thing can be said about food. If you go and have a good experience eating somewhere, you're going to want to do it again. You might diversify your restaurants and get out there and try different restaurants, right? Kind of same thing applies. If you're having good experiences, you'll go back for more, whether it's DC, Marvel, or whatever. So we want them all to succeed. We want them all to be good. But as comic book fans, I don't think we should be, I never said, I'm not going to see that movie. It's a DC movie. Screw it. I've never said that. I've been to every single DC movie opening night. I've been to every single Star Wars movie, even though I don't like them very much anymore. I've been going to all the Star Wars ones. I'll be honest, I almost didn't buy opening night Black Panther. I almost didn't. I went to Eternals. I didn't love it. Went to Shang-Chi. I didn't love it. I like Spider-Man. I did not love Doctor Strange. Kind of felt a little bit disappointed with that. We've discussed that before. So with Black, and these TV shows have been really not doing it for me. So I'm thinking, maybe I don't want to see Black Panther. But then I thought, what the hell? I went and bought my Thursday night tickets, and now the reviews are coming out, and they're pretty good. They're positive. So I'm getting excited about going to see it next week, right? Marco says, back to James Gunn being in charge at DC. I don't think anything will come of it. He's just the latest in a long of big names who were at the helm. Bendis and Lee come to mind. DC's problem is Warner Brothers. But I don't believe, Brian, I think Bendis may have been involved with the movies at one point. Jim Lee was not involved with the movies at all. And Walter Hamada, who was just removed from that position, or he left, or whatever you want to call it, he was in charge for quite some time. They just couldn't get it going, man. They couldn't get it going. And then Zaslav is now head at Warner Brothers. He brought in Alan Horn. Alan Horn and him together brought in James Gunn. So who knows? James Gunn is a filmmaker. Bendis is not a filmmaker. Hamada is not a filmmaker. So I think the creative element, someone who knows comic books, knows comic books and knows film, is now finally at the helm. And that, I think, is going to be, I hope is going to be, if this doesn't work, if it doesn't work, then we're done. I think DC needs to throw in the towel for a year and then reboot it from scratch and try again. But I mean, Kevin Feige was working closely with James Gunn, right? And these two are buddies. And I believe Feige was looking at James Gunn as potentially someone who could take over a part of the work that he was doing as well in developing the Marvel Universe. Now he's over at DC. So who knows? Hopefully this will work. I'm being more optimistic about it. It's a bit exciting for me because I do like what James Gunn has done so far. What I do like about James Gunn is his ability to take these characters that are extremely C-list, D-list characters and make them attractive and give them breathe life into these characters that no one cares about at all. You'd think it'd be easy to do with a Superman or the Batman or a Wonder Woman because we all know them already. We have the history already in the back of our head, but no one knows who Peacemaker is. No one knows who, is a Man-Shark or any of these characters, right? Ratcatcher or Polka Dot Man. These are just strange, weird, like I said, D-list characters that no one cares about. Even Star-Lord or Gamora, they were not top tier Marvel. People know them now, and that's James Gunn's doing. So I'm curious to see what he can do with well-known characters like Batman. And by the way, I think we're going to get Ben Affleck back as Batman too. There's already been rumblings about that. I like that 'cause I like Ben Affleck's version of Batman in this universe. So I'm curious to see what he can do with these more well-known characters because we haven't really seen him play with that sandbox yet. So I'm very excited about that. David says Marvel DC crossover would be cool. A lot of people have been talking about that, David. And I'm sure it would be fun. I've never liked it. I never subscribed to it. I always, back when I was a kid, it was like X-Men versus the Teen Titans. You know what I'm talking about? The green cover with Phoenix and all that. I think it's Phoenix and Darkseid. I hated that book. I hate it. I don't like the melding of the two. I like them separate. That being said, could it be done? Sure. Again, you got James Gunn, who's buddies with Kevin Feige. So you never know. We could see something like that. Maybe not a big, Avengers versus the Justice League, but you might get something like Daredevil and Batman or some street level characters joining forces. Who knows? Like, I don't like Spawn and Batman or Predator versus Alien. I've never, ever, ever liked that sort of thing. But that's me. And a lot of guys do. So for your sake, David, I hope they do it. Peter G. Warner Brothers and Disney are killing the golden goose of their respective DC Marvel franchises. But even in spite of dollars driven, but even in spite of money driven, they in the past have both had some successful films when they give creative licenses. And that is really the biggest issue, right? Studios need to let the creatives do their job. Now, the studios can say, listen, James Gunn, you're going to do a Superman movie. Just for argument's sake, we're going to do a Superman movie. You're going to helm it, but you have to have Brainiac in this film. Jimmy Olsen must die, or a significant death must occur, and it can be any of these three characters. Brainiac has to be in it, and we want to see at the very end Batman somehow integrated, or Green Lantern integrated. Go. You know, they can give their stipulations of what they want to see. It's kind of like what happened way back when with Sam Raimi, when they kind of pigeonholed, or they kind of forced Venom into that movie when it was almost done. And so, you know, he had to go back and kind of retrofit Venom into this movie, and it sucked and it ruined it, right? We all know the movie stunk because of that. You had Spider-Man 1, which was really good, Spider-Man 2, which was really quite amazing with Alfred Molina, and then the third one was actually looking just fine the way it was, and they threw Venom in there, and it was a really watered down Venom, and we all hated it, and that ended that franchise. So the suits need to shut the hell up and stay the hell out of the kitchen. Let the creatives do their job, you know? And I think the same thing was happening over at Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy was hiring different directors and different creators, and they'd fire them. They'd be in and fired. You know, those two guys did the Han Solo movie. I forget their names now. Lord and Miller, I think it was. They were in there. They had the whole script done. It was too comedic. They fired him. Ron Howard, come on in and take over. So Ron Howard comes in, and that veteran filmmaker Ron Howard comes in and does a clean-cut Han Solo movie, more to the liking of Kathleen Kennedy. Doesn't do all that good. Oh, we'll throw Darth Maul at the end. That'll make everybody happy. Does it really? Right? Rian Johnson, don't get me started on that bozo. With the second new Star Wars film. No, don't like it. Anyways, James, I'd love to see Avengers versus JLA. There you go. See, people do like it, right? So, for your sake, guys, for you guys who love the crossover films, I hope they do them. And of course, I'd go see them. But I'm not a fan myself. The pandemic has seriously hurt the habit of going to the movies, and the early switch to streaming services has hurt even more. May take years for cinema to recover. Yes, but what's nice that these superhero films are the ones that have been kind of sustaining the movie theaters, right? We're not seeing a lot of smaller type films. There are some there, but it's the big box office smashes like Top Gun and these superhero films, these blockbusters that have been keeping the movie theaters open for real. I hope the cinemas don't go the way of the dodo bird. I'm a big movie fan. I love going to the movie theaters. I know it's not cheap. It's still cheaper than going to the theater, though. I mean, taking my kids and my wife out for a night at the movies, you're looking at least $120. And when we go, we don't bring our own food. We go to the concession stand. We buy the popcorn. We buy the pop. We buy the popcorn and all that, because that's how the cinemas make their money. It's not in the movies, that's for damn sure. So we patron there, and we know we're paying a lot more for popcorn than you should, but we're doing it to keep the theater going. Otherwise, they will go the way of the dodo bird, and we'll be subject to watching our movies at home. And I don't like that, because I think the film going is a communal experience. I love going to the movies and hearing people cheer. I love going to a movie when it's full of fans. It is a lot of fun. I cannot tell you, seeing Endgame, Infinity War, any of those movies, or any of the big superhero films, even going to see a movie like Creed, with an audience, is just, there's nothing like it. I love it. And I'd hate for that experience to go away. I really would. So, I'll keep going to the movies, and I'll keep supporting my local theaters, and I'll keep buying expensive popcorn and overpriced pop and overpriced juju beams and all that stuff, because I want the theater to exist. And it's fun. It's a fun night out with the family, and I really do enjoy it. Peter says, Peter already said that. Well, listen, guys, I think that's pretty much it. But you know what? If you're coming in here now and watching this video, there's a comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think about the so-called rivalry between Marvel Studios and DC Studios. Does it exist? Does a rivalry really exist between the two companies? I contend that no. I don't think the companies look at each other in such a way at all. But I do believe that the fans and sometimes toxic fandom does create this baloney, this false rivalry that doesn't really exist. And going back to the old days when I was collecting comic books, yeah, there was kind of a simple rivalry between Marvel and DC. But we didn't hate each other. If you're a comic fan, you're a brother of mine. You know what I mean? It's like we all I hate to. I was going to use a Robert Meyer Burnett euphemism. You park your shuttle bay. We park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay. Whether you're a DC fan or a Marvel fan, we're comic book fans. Whatever. We love the same stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that attitude would go far if it was expressed also in the movie world as well. All right, guys, listen, I have another unboxing coming up tomorrow. I hope to see you there. It's an early morning one, so hopefully you can make it. So until then, take care. Have a fantastic night. And gotta find always looking for my end screen. Always looking for my end screen. There it is. Until next time, all the best. Have a good night. Bye for now.